The Super Mario Bros. Movie is one of the best video game franchise adaptations ever made for the big screen. But did you know that several incredible scenes were deleted from this production? Some of them would completely change what we think about certain characters, like the one that would have shown Bowser back in his school days. It would have been pretty sad because Bowser would have asked Peach to be his prom date, but the princess would have refused and apparently humiliated him, since the concept art of this moment shows her laughing at young Bowser. A cool detail is that Daisy would have appeared in this scene too, laughing along with Peach. That tragic past would explain the reason behind Bowser's obsession with Peach and would make us feel a certain amount of sympathy for him, but it would also make it harder for us to root for Peach because of the way she treated him back then, even though her mistake doesn't justify the evil acts Bowser went on to commit after growing up. Maybe this scene was deleted precisely to keep Bowser as someone who has always been evil and to keep us from getting angry at Peach. This is just one of the 15 deleted scenes you need to see from the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Stay tuned because another awesome Cinewave is already on. The first time Mario and Peach meet is a pretty funny scene, since the princess simply knocks him down like it's nothing, but the plumber would originally have met her in a very different way. Peach would still be in the meeting room with the other Toads when Mario would crawl out of a ceiling vent and fall right into the middle of the table. That would have been even funnier and more humiliating for him, to the point that it wouldn't be surprising if Illumination replaced this version with the one in the final movie, just to keep Mario from looking quite so embarrassed. Still, there's no denying it would have been hilarious to see him crashing onto the table in the middle of the meeting. Luigi was separated from Mario for most of the film after falling into Bowser's kingdom, unlike Mario, who luckily landed in the Mushroom Kingdom. But we were originally going to see much more of Luigi. In concept art from a moment that didn't make it into the final cut, Mario's brother is standing in front of a haunted mansion interacting with two ghosts. Anyone familiar with the games knows this is a reference to Luigi's Mansion, a game where he's the main character and sets off on a ghost hunting adventure inside a haunted mansion. The Mario movies love referencing multiple games from the franchise at the same time, so of course Illumination and Nintendo would have considered referencing this very different title right in the first film of their partnership, but it ultimately didn't make the final version. It looks like they're saving Luigi's Mansion for the future. Bowser has always been a massive threat, so much so that Mario, Peach, and Toad had to prepare extensively before invading his kingdom. But one piece of concept art shows they could have prepared even more. In it, the trio is in a room filled with an arsenal of incredible power-ups. Mario is just about to touch a fire flower, and both Peach and Toad desperately try to stop him. Ironic, considering he never actually used his iconic fire transformation during the movie. Besides the power-ups on the walls, you can also spot the Tanuki suit and the frog suit, which only appears in the sequel, Super Mario Galaxy. Mario being about to grab the fire flower wouldn't have been for nothing, because there's concept art showing this transformation, proving that Mario really was going to use his most famous power-up, second only to the mushroom in this movie, which without a doubt would have been amazing. In the end, this idea was dropped, and Mario even used power-ups from more recent games before his flame form. At least he finally uses fire powers in Super Mario Galaxy. If he hadn't used the flower after 2 movies, fans everywhere would have been furious. And Nintendo definitely doesn't want that happening. If you also think it would have been amazing to see these scenes in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, comment down below #deleted. If you still weren't convinced and think this transformation was drawn just because the artists working on the film were bored, then how about this other piece of concept art that shows Mario using his fire form? This one is quite different because it clearly belongs to the scene in the movie where Mario and Peach are in a field full of fire flowers. In other words, the concept art represents a discarded idea of something that would have happened in this scene. Peach would have given a fire flower to Mario, and he would have transformed alongside her, which honestly would have been really cute to see. Would you have liked it if this had been the first time Mario used the fire flower power-up? Still talking about this scene, there's another part of it that was cut. A line of dialogue where Mario would ask Peach if she'd be interested in visiting Brooklyn, his home, after this adventure. Even though that scene was cut, Mario and Peach talk about something similar in the final version. During the moment when he and the princess princess are driving across the Rainbow Road, so it's possible the dialogue was simply moved elsewhere. The funny thing is that technically Peach did visit Brooklyn at the end of the movie, just during a very epic battle. Do you think she stayed there for a while before returning to the Mushroom Kingdom? That's another thing that would have been fun to see. We got a few brief glimpses of the Snow Kingdom, but this country would have appeared much more. One scene would have included an ice skate park, with the difference being that the penguins wouldn't have needed any skateboards at all to slide along the course. We all have to agree that the artists who worked on this project are truly very talented. Another place in the Snow Kingdom that we almost had the pleasure of seeing was a cafe made entirely of ice, with penguins as its main customers. Even though they're used to the cold, even penguins need a little cup of coffee from time to time to keep warm, and you can't judge them for that at all. It would have been really fun to see Mario, Peach, and Toad visiting this cafe, but who knows, maybe that could still happen in the future. The wizard Kamek works for Bowser and proved himself to be a major ally in the first film, but it seems he and his magic would have had much more focus in the movie, because there would have been a scene where Kamek was gathered with several other wizards, as if some kind of magical cult meeting were taking place. We're not sure what would have happened here, but it's easy to imagine all of them gathering to perform a ritual or something similar. Could what happened in this scene have been so dark that Illumination chose to remove it from the film to keep kids from being traumatized? It wouldn't be surprising, because this kind of thing happens quite often during the development of children's animated movies. Sometimes the artists go too far, and before they realize it, they've created something that would keep a kid awake for days. The subscribe button is flashing just for you. Click it and hit the bell right now. The scene of Peach training Mario is absolutely hilarious, and one of the funniest parts is when Mario is just about to manage to jump onto the flag, only to get hit squarely and fail miserably. But the plumber was, in fact, going to reach the flag, which we can see in the concept art. Even so, it seems that no version would have shown Mario being 100% victorious, because even when he did manage to reach the flag, he would end up stuck on it or even completely tied up. And it's hard to look at that art without wondering what would have happened for Mario to end up in such an embarrassing situation. Either way, the final version managed to preserve the humor of the scene. Keeping Mario as a beginner hero in this film was a great decision by Illumination and Nintendo. Going back to the beginning of the movie, the scene where Mario and Luigi are in their bedroom until they realize New York needs plumbers could have ended in a different way, and a gross one. In the version we see in the film, the brothers simply run out of the room, with Luigi leaving the plate on the bed. But in the original version, Mario would end up dropping a tennis ball onto Luigi's plate, and Luigi wouldn't have minded all that much. That really isn't hygienic at all, and that may be exactly why the final version removed this detail. And honestly, it makes sense. Kids see Mario as a role model and might start thinking it's okay to mess up food like that. Even though the scene is a bit strange, the volleyball at least is a fun detail because it references the volleyball matches the plumber plays in the sports games from his franchise. Even Mario's outfit wasn't always exactly the same as the version we see in the movie. There's another version of the plumber that appears in the concept art, since the artists need to explore many visual ideas before the final design is chosen. In this version, Mario would wear a red hoodie under his overalls, which would be a big change. On top of that, he would use far more plumbing equipment, which would move his look away from the faithfulness that the final version had to the game character. Did you like that Illumination and Nintendo chose to stay closer to the games? Or would you have preferred a more different design? That moment when Mario and Luigi venture through the city sewers is another one that underwent changes and was shortened. Originally, the brothers would talk a lot during the adventure, and Mario would even give up on it after they fell. But in the final version, there isn't as much dialogue, and Mario never gives up at any point, being much more fearless from beginning to end. It's hard to say which version is better. On one hand, the deleted scene would have shown Mario as more human, almost giving up on his dream when he was on the verge of changing his life without even realizing it, which is very realistic. On the other hand, the final version showed Mario as someone who never gives up on his dreams, even while having his moments of disappointment, which inspires us to become like him. Now, going back to the journey of Mario, Peach, and Toad, we have another scene that makes anyone laugh. The plumber is walking along with his friends when a fish suddenly jumps onto his face and sticks to him. You're not wrong if you think this happened in the movie, because it did, but it would have been even funnier. Know why? Peach and Toad would actually try to help Mario, but would end up getting attacked by the fish as well. In the final version, the scene simply cuts away as soon as he's grabbed by the fish, which makes it seem like his friends didn't even try to help him. The fun continues with just one click. There are 2 videos on the screen waiting for you. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.